privileged to have a special guest with us. As you know, we have 3 courses connected to this main topic. We have some other sister courses. Last week, Professor Amy Shi came to visit us, and this week, Professor Zhu Rouruo is with us. Let's welcome Professor Zhu. Professor Zhu is, I think, is an expert in sociology. Yeah, she is a sociologist. Currently is professor in the Department of Labor Relations. Yes. So today we have a very special topic. I would call this forensic psychology. In other words, this is not really linguistics per se, but more of psychology. You try to look for evidence from someone's handwriting to determine this person's personality. Okay, your personality is correlated with your handwriting. So since this class is interdisciplinary, psychology is also very closely related to linguistics. Okay, without further ado, let's welcome our group 3. Okay, let's welcome group 3.
Oh, hello. So, good afternoon, everyone. Before we are discussing the case about the Mad Bomber, I'm going to introduce about the handwriting analysis. Okay. And what can the linguist... Oh my god! Sorry. And what can the linguist work on the handwriting analysis? The linguist can work on the handwriting analysis by analyze the person writing text and to know the information about the age and the location and personality. And why can recognize determine the age by the writing text because of every different generation have the different habits about the using when you are writing the text format. And like we have learned in the maybe the second class, we have learned about the Bomber's rating, the case about Bomber's rating. The linguists also know where the criminal is from by the location. It's in the same meaning. And the personality is next. I will going to teach you some little tips about how to analyze the handwriting to know your personality. Yeah. And what is handwriting analysis? Handwriting analysis and what is the graphologic? For the linguist study of the writing system, which has sometimes been called the graphologic. So graphologic is same meaning in the handwriting analysis, but this is more professional word, yeah. And handwriting analysis also can just diagnose and tracing of the disease of the brain, the human's brain, and the human nervous system. And now maybe you can look which of personality you are. If your handwriting format is neat and clean, then maybe you can represent like elegance and care about dressing well, and also have more self-esteem and sense of honor. Yeah. And if your handwriting format is freestyle like this, it has no structure, then mean this person may be represent cordialist and careless about anything. And about your writing font size, if your writing font size is big size, then maybe this person is outgoing and have a free mind, but maybe you have not patient and cannot focus in every detail. And in the other hand, if your handwriting is smaller font size, then it means maybe you are an introverted person And what does introverted person mean? Introverted is like maybe you are afraid to connect with other people, yeah, or antisocial, yeah. And you represent you have a nice self-control and have a nice concentration. And if your writing format is can big and also small, then it means you have a breeze mind like artists, yeah, and but later self-control. Okay, and if your writing structure is strict, like this person gives you the impression strict, then it means maybe you have a good thinking, then hardly doing things very hardly, and have a wrong responsibility in everything. But you will do the thing maybe regular. Yeah. So everyone have found which personality you are, and you can compare your handwriting. Yeah. And in other hand, if your writing structure is loose, then it means you have a thinking. You can think widely, and you also have a good heart, can forget everything. Yeah. And now I'm showing a video which is a linguist teach you how to analyze and how to recognize the handwriting technique there. Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Carmen, then with Expert Village. And now we're going to talk about loops. So what are loops? Those are those things that you do on letters like H, and Y, and G. And we're going to look at the size and shape of the loop. So when we're talking about loops, we're talking about letters such as H, where you see there's an upper loop, or G, where there's a lower loop. Okay, now that would be what I would call a average size of loop. Now if you have a loop which is very rounded, that might be like that, you see how rounded it is? And that means a person who is very open to other people's ideas, what we call in hypnosis suggestible. Alright, or you could have a loop which is not at all rounded, or in fact missing even, which might be like that, or like that. And that is a person who is a lot less suggestible, less open to other people's ideas, tends to have their own opinion on things. They tend to be more analytical, more critical. And then another type of loop is a loop which is actually pointed at the top, if I can do that, or at the bottom, pointed. Yeah, I didn't do that very well, but you can try and see what I mean there. And anytime you have this point here, that indicates a level of neurosis. That's kind of like overthinking things. Okay. The other thing to look at with loops is, are we having an emphasis on the left-hand side or the right-hand side? You see what I mean, of the letter? So anything which is on the left-hand side indicates the past, and on the right-hand side indicates the future. So this person here, if they had a loop like that, you might say that they are very, they tend to look back at the past a lot. They could be someone who is a little nostalgic, someone like that, and this would be someone who is a bit more forward-thinking, likes to think about things in the future.
Hello everybody. The background is too light, but the former color is not like this because the version of the PowerPoint is too old. So I can change the background color. The main bomber. And this is the content, prefix, outline, and conclusion. Just try to see it, please. Okay. And listen to me. Okay. The case is that an unknown man made 30 bombs in 1940 to 1960. And because the era was a long time ago, so the police couldn't find the identifiable and useful fingerprints for data banks. And though there were some clues like bombs, targets, telephone codes, and the letters left, the police still couldn't solve the case. So that 1956, a psychiatrist, Dr. Brusso, came out to find out the criminal. Is it clear? Okay. And okay, let's start the story. The bomber began by planting his first bomb in front of the Consolidated Edison Company building in Manhattan in November 1940. And Consolidated was a powerful company. The bomb didn't go off because it was poorly made, but it contained a short note, like this. Con Edison crooks, this is for you. And in the following year, 2 more bombs. And a message followed. Again, neither bomb exploded. As America headed into war in Europe, the third one had been delivered to a downtown Manhattan police precinct with the following handwritten message in black capital letters. I will make no bomb units for the duration of the war. My patriotic feelings have made me decide this. Later, I will bring the Con Edison to justice. They will pay their dastardly deeds. Okay. In ensuing 15 years, dozens more similar letters were sent to various individuals and newspapers in the New York area, all signed by FP. As the years went by, his bombs became more sophisticated. And in 1950, the first one actually exploded. A week after the explosion, FP telephoned the New York Journal American, asking for the editor, but was unable to get through. The unknown clerk registered this complaint, though FP was upset that the paper hadn't been publishing any of his letters which accompanied the bombs. Okay, by 1956, FP had placed bombs in or near several movie theaters, phone booths, Consolidated Edison facilities, and police stations. Investigators had a difficult time making a connection between these seemingly different targets, and by this time, his bombs were detonating more regularly, with the inevitable result of people getting injured, in some cases severely, when the 16th bomb blew up in a Manhattan theater, gravely injuring 6 people in the process. The police finally turned to Dr. Brusso for help.
My turn. Here is the linkers. The Dr. Brusso have found many letters from the Met bomber. And here is I will talk about the conclusion of the Dr. Busso and this part is the aspect from his fun look, and the letter was neat, precise, and orderly and well organized. So the Dr. Busso think FP is the main bumper, yet FP was likewise in ordered person, likely paranoid. And paranoid means it must be do the thing that he must to do. And the next, FP was probably an excellent, highly competition employee. Many people suspect he was an employee in ComEdit. And FP didn't participation risky and outgoing activities. Okay, and this is also from his fun look. FP, the letter W, what was unique from other correct ones. His W is very rude, like circle. So the Dr. Busso think maybe the W might represent woman's breast, and so this means he probably had love-hate the relationship with his mother, and his mother might be dead, and he now live alone, or with no female relative. Yes. Okay, and he likely had a good, and from his writing skill and his style of writing, he likely had a good education but didn't attend college. He was likely reared by someone immigrated to the U.S. And the proof is he used the word that the local U.S. will use. And like the com edition, the local will say com ed. And he isolated himself from the outside world. And also found that where he lived based on his bunk placement, he placed his bunk very near his home, and he didn't have a job now because of the timing of the placement. He don't just place the bunk just in the weekend or the weekday, so he can know that he didn't have a job. And this is the criminal profile. The criminal named George, and his parents both dead and had no relative. He had worked at ComEd in the 1920s, and had been a model employee until a boiler accident forced him to have an early retirement. And FP is mean fair play, and he didn't get his retired income. And this part is the Lindquist wishes. The